we bring up to the stage Charmi Peña. She's a Nikon ambassador from the East Coast. She's going to talk to you about something. You ever see that movie Castaway? He made fire. I made fire. She makes light. Ladies and gentlemen, Charmi Peña.
Thank you, Mike.
Let's make some light.
Let's make some light. We're going to do that. Thanks for coming. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. It's not strictly making light. It's literally, figuratively. We're going to get into a lot of things. But before we do, I wanted you to see a little of what I've been up to in recent years, if you don't know my work. So I am a Nikon Ambassador. I shoot weddings. I'm a mom, a wife. I ran for office, and I'm in my 4th term. I do a lot of things. I'm a busy girl. But usually on a weekend, you will find me hanging off the back of a van. Probably before the groom has arrived, I will find some sort of vehicle to climb that usually gets me yelled at because I'm not supposed to be climbing it. But I don't know how people expect me to get the photo I want if I can't climb all the things I want to climb. That photo all the way over there, bottom, it was in the middle of a hurricane. I shot outside in the middle of the hurricane, finished the ceremony, got on a ferry to New York, came to Nikon Theater, did a panel, got back on the ferry, and went and shot the reception. Busy girl. I'm usually in competition with a lot of other photographers. And I try to take really good care of my couples. And then I let my team take really good care of me. That's me and some truffle fries in the back of the room because we started working at 5:30 a.m. that day, and nobody fed me, so my team fed me. And this is my parents and grandparents. My grandfather was a freedom fighter in India. He published a newspaper and got arrested by the British, and kind of a big deal. He also directed a Bollywood movie once upon a time. My parents are doctors, and I wanted to be a doctor, and they talked me out of it, unlike any other Indian parents who have ever existed on the planet. But every year, I go through this struggle where I'm like, am I doing enough with my life? Am I changing the world? What am I giving? What am I doing? Because I have a lot to live up to. But this is what I'm really good at. So I decided I would lean hard into photography. This was going to be my everything, and I was going to be incredible at it. And I was going to lean into my technicals and learn everything I could learn. So for me, that meant learning lighting, posing, all the things that my camera could do that I didn't know it could do. And I think engagement sessions are an exceptional way to practice your lighting and your posing. So for this New York City engagement, we were playing with light all evening long. One of the ways that I manage engagement sessions so that I can have the light I want is I don't let clients dictate what time we will be starting. I'm not bossy, I'm the boss. So I tell them that we will start approximately 2 hours before sunset. And sometimes I'll change that up. It really depends on what a location we're in. For example, in New York City, if you are on the west side, you start later. If you're on the east side, you start earlier because the high-rises will take away all your light. So I know my locations, and I gently suggest / make them do what I say. So we were in meatpacking, and this was fully shaded by other buildings. But then we wandered, and this was in direct light. They are you can see the shadows behind them. They were walking directly into the sun. I told them to put on their sunnies, not to look directly at the sun, but in the direction of it, and walk right towards it. And then we made good use of the same location twice by using the same exact spot, walking the opposite way, but letting the light be behind them this time. And so as I honed my skills through engagement sessions and other things, I realized you could use the same light many different ways. So they're up against a building, and all I did in the next photo is have them turn around and move myself. So especially if you have very flat light, you can basically do whatever you want to do, and make sure to remind yourself to move your body all the way around your subjects. But if you're in harsh light, like you saw before, you can still use it so many different ways. I always feel like when I'm shooting with couples, I feel like they're in a hurry, and if I take my time, they might feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And over the years, I've convinced myself that I can just relax, and that they are happy to have my expertise, and if it takes me a second to find light, that's okay. Your couples are not judging you. So take your time, find what you want, and use it in as many ways as you want. And I do use engagements to practice flash techniques, new, old, just practicing them in general, even if I'm good at them. So this was, again, actually that same street that we were on with the harsh light, but we just walked one block to the corner. And I had a direct flash right at them, and I moved the camera. I made sure that my shutter speed was probably like 1/15. And we did this once or twice so that they could have a little variety and I could have a little fun. So along the way of learning my technicals, I realized that people skills are a vital photography technical. You need your lighting skills and you need your posing skills, but if you are not always working on your people skills, you're gonna have a problem, because you need to connect to people to convince them that they should do everything you want them to do, even though they're very confused by it. And you'll see more examples of weird things I ask my couples to do shortly. But this was Cabo, and I had seen this a few days earlier, and I had asked them to walk really, really far in the sand early in the morning. But they trusted me, and we went, and this is them walking again into direct, harsh light. And then we got some clouds, and they walked away, and we went back. And earning that trust with your couples so that they'll let you do whatever you want to do means that they'll take you with them when they go get married in Cabo, or when they go propose somewhere. Beautiful. This was Lake Louise. Yeah, thank you. Now, I translate this same thinking to wedding days. So for getting ready, the way that this bride is lit is that the window is right here. Big, giant window right here. Something I think people forget to do is pull the curtains more. We all remember to open the curtains and turn off the yellow lights in the room, right? But we don't always remember that we can also restrain the light with the curtains and get just what we need. So the curtains were pulled a little bit, but there was a big window to her left. And the next photo is that exact same window, but she turned to her right and I moved. These were taken like a minute apart. Nothing happened except that she turned and I moved. And I used to be really afraid of shadow, but now I love shadows. I will stick a bride in any shadow, anywhere, and if I can't find one, I'll make one. So this is under her veil, and it had this beautiful texture. This one was palm trees, and direct light can be incredible if you are using it with texture and making sure that you pose them in the direction to complement their face. Something I'm really strict about that I'm going to tell you and hopefully will stick with you forever like it stuck with me. You see how her nose never passes her cheek? And over there, her nose never passes her cheek. It's like a thing in my brain. I never, ever let a subject's nose pass their cheek when they're turned to their side. And it like calls attention away from the nose because it's their whole face you want, not just their nose. So when I'm done with thinking about how I'm going to use light in any given room, I start to focus on emotion and movement. So here, I'm focused so much on her movement. I want that anticipatory feeling of, all right, it's time to go get my dress. I want things to be funny. I want them to be light. And I do participate a lot in trying to get people to be comfortable. This is me and one of my brides, and I had just spent a little time under her skirt trying to fluff some things out. But then I will move back and let her people have her thing. And I realized sometime through the process that if I combined my lighting skills, my posing skills, my people skills, that I was showing people their own light. They were seeing themselves in a way that they do not typically see themselves. I think everybody on their wedding day is a little self-conscious of like how the outfit fits or if their mom's going to behave. And we all want them to feel happy because we're going to do our best work when they're happiest. And I feel so invited into a private space when we're in these getting ready moments. This is direct light. I just had her put up her chin just a little bit. And you might not be able to see it as well because of the veil, but there's a little shadow under her neck. This was fencing that was above a walking space, and I had her scoot. In the beginning, when I was trying to get this right, I would tell people to take a half a step. Don't do that. Just have them lean. Lean to your left a little, lean to your right a little, and that's how you get it right. It's easier if you tell them to lean than step. And that one is just in the room she was getting ready in. Window was camera right. This goes back to trust. She's literally laying on not the cleanest carpet, but it was the coolest stained glass window to the right. And I could see what the potential was of this. And I'm not sure she could, but she trusted me and she laid down on the not so clean carpet. And this is something you hone over time. And I think it really helps to be authentic with your couples. You don't need to just be the photographer in the room who is a fly on the wall wearing all black. You need to speak to them like they're human beings and like you're a human being. And then they forget that you're the photographer. They just think like, oh, this is just another person who I know who's in the room. Camera right. The window is camera right. And I always think, definitely not giving myself the credit of this, but other people say that she's giving a little bit of mature girl with a pearl earring. I sort of see it. Practicing my craft obsessively let me figure out how to show people relationships that they don't see themselves. Brides do not see their relationships with their mother as anything but what they're experiencing, which sometimes, especially on wedding days, is a lot. But for me, I get to show them what I see and the love that I see. This is what I meant about us moving curtains. We open them, but we don't always think about closing them back up and refining our light. So just because it's natural light doesn't mean we just have to have all the windows fully open. We can refine the light and we can refine how we use it. And I'm very, very lucky that I get to shoot some very bougie weddings now. This one was in Cancun. This was in Aruba. But wherever I go, the point is, whether it's romantic, whether it's bougie, or a $12 wedding, I want to show what they are feeling. And I want to use the light in a way that complements their connection. Sometimes that's editorial, and sometimes that's hilarious. This is a bride of mine who had to have brain surgery about a year and a half before her wedding. She was leaking spinal fluid into her brain. It's very rare. It's very painful. And she was told that she had anxiety for many months leading up to her diagnosis. And she remains somewhat in discomfort and has health issues. on this day, she was particularly uncomfortable. And so for me, it was really important to be able to walk into a space and say, okay, the sun is here. We need to get moving really fast. So the next 3 photos we took in about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, because her total bandwidth for the entire photo shoot was 5 minutes. And we drove like 30 minutes to do an hour of shooting. And once we got there, we really only could shoot for maybe 5 minutes because she just wasn't up to it. But I texted her this morning to ask if I could share this with you. And she said that I should always share it with you because she loves these photos. They mean a lot to her. She doesn't feel sick in these photos when she looks at them. She feels like the best version of herself. And she wanted me to share with you how important it was to her that she was made comfortable by me. Because another photographer, after her surgery, she was a bridesmaid at a wedding, and she had a little gauze right here. And the other photographer said, hey, can you cover that up? You're ruining my picture. We don't want to talk to people like that. We are light makers. We only bring light to people's lives. I just used this backlight over and over again. I'm not going to lie to you. I cheated. There was backlight. I just used it for all 5 minutes, and that's all we did. So for variety for here, I just changed their posing for that 5 minutes, and then we were done, and we headed out. And the work that you do can bring more than light to the couple's lives. This is a photo of a gay couple that got married at a temple in New Jersey. It was the first one to ever take place there, and it maybe took on a little bit of a life of its own and was published in Vogue and People and my mother's hometown newspaper from where she grew up in India. So a lot of places. But this affected them in a really beautiful, positive way, but it also affected an entire community, a community that maybe never saw themselves in my work. And for me, that's super satisfying for people to know that they're safe with me and that I see them and I appreciate them. And this is them a year later on their anniversary. That photo also changed their entire lives. The photo went viral. Adi on the left is now a makeup influencer. He hangs out with Selena Gomez all the time. And that photo did that. That photo took them from one place to the next place. Imagery can be really powerful. My friend here is the second chair for trans rights at the ACLU and knew that in my business, they would be super safe. So for me, it's important for us to know that the work that we do is not remotely superficial. We bring all kinds of joy and comfort to people. It's really important to me that I am able to use light in a way that lets every place look different. When I was shooting mostly in New Jersey, which was the case for a while, I shot at this venue 57 times. Not actually 57, but really close. But every single time, knowing that I had a handle on light made it so that I could make every single wedding look different. This is a very just classic window left. It was a cloudy day here, and then the sun came out for backlight over there. And I had to shoot this wedding in Cabo, and I went to the same venue 2 months in a row, and they had big Indian weddings in the same place. I really wanted them to look different. You also really want to be able to ask for what you need. So the light this day was on the other side of them, but the guy who had this red car parked it in a hideous location, and he really didn't want to move it at first. He was like, you're renting a car, you're here to take pictures, it's parked, go take pictures with it. So we convinced him gently to move it into the light that we wanted. I knew I wanted it to be backlit. It's a lot of white space. On the other side of this is the hotel. I didn't want the hotel in the photos. And so we very sweetly sort of convinced him to move the car to where I needed it to be so that we could pose them in this way. And they had 4 different events in the same exact 2 spaces at this place, but we had to try to make them look different. So sometimes I leaned into romantic, sometimes editorial, sometimes a little more than editorial. And this was the other couple. And I hope you can't tell that it's in the exact same place as the second photo from before. For this, I've been to this place a million times, and I don't like it. So I laid down in the sand. I am fully in the sand here. And had them lean towards me at the waist just a little bit. And I saw that guy coming, so I waited. And then I shot 4,000 frames while he went through. This is just backlight right from behind them early in the morning. I saw these shadows while they were still getting ready, and I knew I wanted to put them in it and work with the texture and the light in some way. And I'm glad they agreed to do it, but I want you to see what it was. It was basically a slope. They were sitting on a slope, and they trusted and hoped that they would not slide down it right before their event. And I'm on the other side doing the same thing. Maybe do less dangerous things than I do, though. For couples portraits, I lean really, really hard into personality when it's a cloudy day. If I don't have light, then I need you to be even more fun than ever, which means I will do all the dumb things you need. I will do dumb dances to make you laugh. I will play Back That Thing Up. That's what I did here. I will do anything to make people happy. Onto the ceremony. I've become really obsessed with the quietness of brides entering the ceremony space recently, even when it's really, really busy. But you don't really have control over light in these situations, right? Like, this is an outdoor ceremony, and what control could I have? So my control over this actually came from months before the wedding. They said, hey, we're getting married on the beach. The ceremony's early in the day. So I said, okay, make sure that your stage is covered. And so they talked to their decorator and made sure that they had a thin sheet that matched their decor that would cover their space, because otherwise they would have had really weird shadows until the sun moved behind them like it did here. At this wedding, when I walked in the room, there were 3 walls of windows, but they had turned on tungsten lights all over the tree, all over the room. Everything was lit tungsten for no reason when we had floor-to-ceiling windows. Your mileage may vary, but I walked around and unplugged them all. Same thing. It just, that cleanup really helped. And it's the only way that I can really control things in a natural light situation, right? Is to give some advice beforehand. This couple asked me if I preferred a drape for their backlit ceremony or no drape. I voted no drape. I don't know if you would have voted drape, but I'd like to hear what you think later. And sometimes I have no choice. This was indoors. I had absolutely no choice. It just had to happen that way. And so what I do is I zip tie lights on the inside. These are Nan lights that are zip tied on the inside of the stage. Nobody can see them but me. In the future, I will use ice lights because Jerry Guionis is my friend, and I don't want him to kill me. But this works even when there's a lot going on the stage because it's light that's wrapping around. I bought a set of 4, and so you really have options about your placement. Just got to make sure there's zip ties in your bag. Or bungee cords, because those bungee cords come in handy for this. This feels like a really easy situation, right? Because there's like all these lights, and like, why would I need my own light? Because all those lights were above these big balls and were making shadows and reflections, and it was not fun. So we used our own clamps. We have super clamps and bungee cords, and we attached it to the trussing over here on either side of the dance floor so that we could do this. And it was cleaned up. We were still using their light as backlight and ambient light, but when we were photographing the stage, it was like this. You're going to have to ignore this photo because it's out of order. But same thing. You can see sometimes we'll try to backlight it. That's my light in the back that didn't fire. I wanted you to see that it didn't fire. But sometimes we'll play with our own light. Even though there was a backlight, it wasn't doing as much because they had it lighting more of the guest situation than the actual stage. Same thing. One light in the back on one side, directly on the other, he's lit by. And then when I get to the dance floor, I don't want to say I'm lazy. I just think I'm smart. I just do direct flash because it's fun. And there's so much movement and color and light at the weddings that I'm shooting already. I don't want to complicate things. I don't want to add many directions. I don't want to play. I want emotion and I want fun. And so I don't want to think about light. So I am either using a bounce card or I'm using a direct flash, and that's how I got this. Same for this. The dance floor is super simple for me. I use direct light. And then nighttime portraits. This was lit by somebody standing right here with a speed light. And then I took 2 frames, one with him, one without him. Nowadays, I think I would take 1 frame and use AI and not worry about it. So I don't think you have to worry about 2 frames anymore. There's a difference between this and the next photo, and I want you to think about it next time you're doing the same thing. We all take this photo. We all take a photo where it's raining and we're lighting from behind. This, we were really close to the couple, and we didn't have much of a diffuser on the flash to spread the light. This, we were much further back, and we had a diffuser on the flash to spread the light further. This is a portrait that I have taken too many times, but this particular one had 22 frames because the bottom of her dress got its own frame. So I had an assistant. I was standing in the lobby of the Philadelphia Four Seasons, and the assistant walked from person to person individually lighting them. And it was a big deal for us because, as you can see, they are a variety of skin tones. And it was really important to the bride who hired me for my ability to capture accurate skin tones that I kept that going in this photo. And I got more than one thank you from people in here, but it is 21 or 22 frames put together in Photoshop afterwards. I really like movement in my flash, so this was, again, direct flash, but it was set to probably 1/13th or 1/15th with a little swivel right as I shot it. And then for this one, I asked them to run down the hallway towards me and hopefully to try to use like the hallway lights. And so you could see me going like this over and over again. So I really feel like my legacy, even though I'm not a freedom fighter and I'm not a doctor, but my legacy is not just taking pictures. These are my boys. I hope that everything I believe about making people feel seen and loved is something I'm putting in them and that they will then spread into the world. But I know that my work is making people happy. And for all of us, I think we should value higher what we do for people, capturing their memories. I'm doing a personal project. I had long hair back then. I'm doing a personal project. This photo's by Sam Hurd, by the way. I didn't put his name, I'm sorry. I'm doing a personal project soon to learn some new skills that I would like to learn. It's video. I have absolutely no video skills. I know how to compose, I know how to light, but I don't know how to use video on my camera. So unfortunately, my grandmother passed away 4 years ago, but right before she passed away, I had asked her if I could do a project about her cooking and her favorite foods. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to ask her all the questions about her childhood that I had never been able to ask her. And unfortunately, 2 weeks after I asked her, she passed away. And I paused the project. But now I'm picking it back up. And every week, I'm going to post on my Instagram what I'm learning about how to shoot cinematic film while I interview my mother, my aunts, my sister about food and culture and their childhoods and memories. And hopefully make a little mini film that none of you will care about, but maybe you'll learn something along my journey of learning cinema. So you're going into a new season, and I hope you know that you can literally put an entire universe of love into these people's photos sometimes literally. You have the ability to affect how people see themselves and how people see their relationships. And I can't wait to see what you make this year.